everybody. Welcome in. My name is Adam, also known as V12, and this is your Fielder's Choice. We're going to be covering some EPL soccer today, and we're excited, guys. It's the EPL finale of the season. There's definitely some things for some teams to play for. There's a lot left unknown at this point. We have secured some things like Manchester City. Congratulations to them for securing the top EPL spot. They've been absolutely dominant this season. The bottom three is also locked up. Usually at the end of the season, we tend to get some narrative. In the Premier League, you actually have all of the teams competing for the top spot, but there's Champions League qualification, Europa League qualification, and in addition to that, if you're finishing in the bottom three, you're relegated to the EFL Championship, and then we're going to be bringing up three new teams from the EFL Championship into the Premier League next season. So, guys, what I'm here to cover for you today is Premier League soccer. We're going to be focusing mainly on the DraftKings slate today, starting at 10 a.m. We do have a 10-game slate, if I'm remembering that correctly. We're going to be coupling in this live stream with two videos. The one that you're currently viewing live, or hopefully being able to check this out as a recording before we go into the live lock at 11 a.m. Eastern time. But we also do have a Prize Picks video. We are partnered with Prize Picks as one of the affiliates there. Be sure to check that out. They had a huge deposit bonus match that they did yesterday, but also you can use code YFC and you can get a $100 deposit match up to $100. That gives you dollar for dollar, something for you to start up and jump into the room, guys. We have a free Discord that's available, so be sure to check that out. And of course, yeah, man, if you have questions, reach out to me at YFC V12. You can see at YFC Sports V12. That's my Twitter handle. Be sure to reach out, ask questions, and I'm happy to answer, guys. So let's talk some soccer and jump right into it. We're going to be going position by position today. We're going to start at the forward position. We're going to talk about a couple of plays over here, and usually you're going to have someone that is going to be on the screen. We're going to start with Raphinha, which is going to be the Leeds United player coming over to Leeds this season. He's right now my top pay-up option. Generally, I'm speaking from a cash game standpoint, but I do want to mention in this sense that it is DraftKings focused because of the point system, being able to get points or crosses, shots assisted. There's a lot of things that really focuses on the set-piece creative players like Raphinha. He's a top forward slash midfielder hybrid coming over from another European league, and he's been dominant for Leeds United. He leads right now, I believe, the team in goals. He's really close. It's either him or it's Patrick Bamford right now, but averaging 14.7 DraftKings points. He is near or eclipsed the double-digit mark in at least every game dating back to early February. Recently, a little bit, I guess what you would call a down game, only 8.2 at Southampton. And, of course, Manchester City, which we know in itself is going to be a tough battle, only 8.1. But, on the season, 6 goals, 8 assists, 66 shots. I mean, this guy is averaging close to 90 minutes. I don't expect them to really be giving him any reason to be able to come off as an early sub. This goal prop for this game particularly has one of the highest. So we expect a Leeds United versus West Brom game to be very open. West Brom don't have anything to play for. Leeds United are playing at home. They play a very high press style. They're, I guess one of the teams that from a DFS standpoint you can really focus on. West Brom gives up a ton of shots, a ton of crosses. They lead the league in those categories, not in a good way. So that is Raphinha. He is my top pay-up forward. I do believe he's also midfield eligible, so be creative in your builds as you do have multiple position spots. I do want to mention over to the next play that we have today. Speaking from a value standpoint, one of the things that we have to look at on this is that value to me doesn't necessarily mean dropping all the way down and paying up. We want to focus on players that are going to be, I guess, really, in tune with the fact that they're going to pay off their pricing respectively. You're talking about a big slate. We haven't had a 10-gamer like this all season due to COVID and scheduling. So I want to talk about Timo Warner a little bit. Now, if you've heard any of the blogs or blurbs or Twitter, they've talked about it a lot. He's one of those players that for Chelsea hasn't really delivered for the expectations that were given to him. He's been, hit or miss in a lot of games this season. A lot of chances that he's had created were not finished up on. He's traditionally one of the more skilled finishers in the entire world, but he has struggled this year in European football, playing with the national German team, but most notably for Chelsea. I do think that this is a good news for us because it depresses his price today at 7,400 on DraftKings, and I feel like that's a steal. He's also forward and midfield eligible. He is slated and expected to start at the top of the formation. So he's spearheading the attack for Chelsea, who are in a game against Aston Villa, and they're pretty sizable favorites today. And also, in addition to that, Chelsea being my favorite team, I have a little bit more of an opportunity to watch more of their games. I do think that Timo has been much better of late. He was able to reel off 4 shots this last game against Leicester City. Chelsea do have to win this game, but the reason they have to win is because they want to qualify automatically in a top 4 spot for Champions League football this next season. However, we also have to look at the fact that Chelsea are going to be playing 6 days from now for the Champions League final against Manchester City. So there's is some concern to say maybe, they want to pull somebody early. They don't want to really press Timo Warner, Mason Mount, and those guys who we'll talk about in a little bit. But I do expect him to be plenty involved today. Aston Villa is one of those teams that plays very open. They're very susceptible to the counterattack. They haven't had a great season. They started out on fire this year, but the injuries to Jack Grealish and others, Ross Barkley, to name a few, have really hurt them this year. So I expect Chelsea to dominate position. I expect Timo Warner to really attack that back line, who can be a little shaky at times. So mark him down as my favorite value play. There's going to be a lot of cheap plays for you to talk about, but it is somebody that we can look at as well. I want to talk about midfield a little bit here, so we're going to transition over to that. Now, there's 2 things to look at here. I do think from a top play-up standpoint, you can definitely look at Kevin De Bruyne. He's going to be at the top of the list. Now, you do have, and we'll talk a little bit about Liverpool as well, but I want to talk about Mason Mount and Kevin De Bruyne respectively. Kevin De Bruyne is one of the top European players. He has been for the last 2 or 3 seasons. From a DFS standpoint, he's one of those guys that you can just plug and play and you do not have to worry about. You hear me talk about KDB all the time. He's at 9.6 on DraftKings, averaging almost 20 points, fantasy points per game on DraftKings. Now, Manchester City side is going to be heavily favored, usually no matter who they're playing. But with this specific game, Manchester City don't have anything to play for. They're sitting at the top of the EPL. They've already secured the crown. They have this Champions League game coming up. So, in the fact that they don't have anything to play for this game makes me really feel that Kevin De Bruyne will probably be in the lineup because they want to keep him fit. They want to keep him game ready. But I don't think he's necessarily going to play 90 minutes. So, I do think with that you have to say, okay, is he safe and secure? Yes, absolutely. If you're paying 9.6K on DraftKings, you're going to expect that. He's a guy that's going to accrue a lot from crosses and shots assisted. He's an excellent set piece taker, very creative, dominates the set pieces, and does take some penalty kicks for Manchester City, but they have rotated a lot this year. So if you're paying 9.6, I don't blame you. I'm just telling you that there is some risk there, in my opinion. I also want to talk about Mason Mount a little bit for Chelsea as well. He's been on and off on the set pieces. You'll see Ben Chilwell and some other players be able to take some. But with Mason Mount, the reason I want to mention him is because his price is a little bit depressed today. If you're looking at it, you have to scroll down a little bit. He's at 7.7K on DraftKings as well. Mason Mount is one of those players that whenever he came up from Swansea City, Frank Lampard brought him over whenever Frank Lampard started coaching at Chelsea. Frank Lampard is no longer around. Thomas Tuchel's there. They're doing an excellent job with the players. Tuchel came in and said, these guys are ready to win now. Lampard said, no, I don't think that they are, but I just think that shows the quality of coaching that they have now. He's learned that Mason Mount is a player that not only in the attack, but in the creative standpoint, set piece plays, this kid is amazing. I think that Gareth Southgate for the national English team is going to be using him as one of the first players that are going to be on the team sheet. Mason Mount at that price is excellent. I do think that if he loses some set pieces, there is some worry there. But at the same time, if you're looking at this kind of upper mid-range, he's a player that I'm really looking at because you want to look at him. You want to look at the Liverpool players. They're huge favorites today. But I do think Mason Mount is somebody that I love as a focused player. Heading on down to the defender spot. Now, on DraftKings, you are required to play 2 defenders. It's different from the FanDuel aspect because FanDuel, you're focused more on shots, you're focused more on goals. And of course, with the defender's position, you're focused more on tackles, interceptions, whereas on DraftKings, you're rewarded for those crosses, shots assisted. So your fullbacks and your wide players for the defender position are going to be much more important. That's why it kind of leads me into talking to Trent Alexander-Arnold. TAA, Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the best DFS players also in the world from just a creative aspect. I mean, the guy's price tag is quite high today, which kind of makes me want to really fade some of these higher end players like Kevin De Bruyne to get some people that are in that mid upper tier. 7.8K, he's $1,300 on DraftKings, higher than the next defender eligible player, which is also his teammate Andrew Robertson. Liverpool, they play a very like similar, not boring, but very similar type of possession game in the attack. Their fullbacks press up from the wing, so you have Alexander Arnold on the right side, Robertson on the left, and they continually play balls into the box. So it's just a constant accrual of scoring DFS points. Trent Alexander-Arnold, to me, is going to be a necessary player. I think that you can pivot to him, to an Andrew Robertson, save that 1,300, and possibly, make some different builds off of that. But from a cash game standpoint, I think he's going to be heavily owned, even at 7.8K at defender position. He's averaging almost 15 fantasy points per game on DraftKings. The biggest deal is Liverpool have to win today. If you're looking at the EPL standings, they sit at 66 points, which puts them in fourth place. However, Chelsea is only 1 point higher in the top three spot at 67, and Leicester City is right below them at 66. So Leicester City can shake some stuff up today. That means that Liverpool and Chelsea have to win. That is not even enough to secure them with a tie. I mean, of course, you could have a Leicester City tie, and then, then these guys are going to be safe at the top. But I know Liverpool having to win today, having to play their hearts out to get in this, keep this top four spot. I mean, those are the expectations at minimum that that their coaching staff, that their ownership has given them. So Alexander Arnold, all of the Liverpool players are going to be heavily owned today. Are going to be feature players, in my opinion. And I think Alexander Arnold is someone who I want to have in my main lineup. And let me go ahead and shift over to my value play. Now, generally with defender, I think that you can look at paying down. But one of the things that I really like is to attack underpriced players, maybe that people don't know as well, and hopefully get a little bit of an edge. There are some cheap fullbacks out there today. Jamal Lowe stands out as one of those. There's some cheap defenders at 2,500 that are going to be center back eligible, that are going to be very low ceiling players. They could be in on a set piece and get a goal. But I want to talk about Joe Bryan today. Joe Bryan for Fulham. He's expected in the starting 11. He's not a player that has been played a lot due to injury, maybe due to quality. I think that Fulham have looked at him more as an EFL player, and I mean, sure enough, they're going to be back in the EFL this next season. But I do think Joe Bryan, from a DFS standpoint, if you've ever played EFL Championship or watched any of their games, he's a guy that sits out there on that left wing, playing that left wing back role, and he's going to be sending in a ton of crosses. He's going to be a guy that is going to be creative. If you're looking at it just from a pricing standpoint, I don't think he's cheap. I think 4,400 is going to be something that's people are going to look at, and it's going to be like, oh man, like this guy, I mean, why am I going to pay for him when I can pay up a little bit more and get a more established name in the fullback position? But if you're looking at his fantasy points per game, he's only played a couple of games where he's actually played as a starting 11 player, and thus he got 90 minutes out of the game. I want to direct you to his last game against Manchester United. He played a full 90 minutes. He had a goal, 2 shots, a shot on goal, shot assisted, 2 crosses, 2 fouls drawn, a couple tackles won, a couple interceptions, for 20.3 DraftKings points. That was at 3K on salary. I totally understand that he is going to be someone that at 4.4K is not going to be somebody that's going to be ideally a player you're going to look at. But Joe Bryan, he's just one of those cross-donkey DFS players. He's going to send in a ton of balls in the box. He's going to constantly be attacking. If they start him today, I plan on them giving him 90 minutes. They have nothing to play for. They're already going to be relegated. Joe Bryan's someone that is actually, from a DFS cash game standpoint, is somebody that we could probably sneak into there, and he could put double-digit points up at 4.4K, and that's a good return at that level. So Joe Bryan, there's going to be some value that's going to pop up. I highly suggest, if you're not already in our premium chat, to jump in, and so you can hear a little bit of my thoughts on there. But he's a player that I'm looking at from a value standpoint, and there's probably going to be more value once the starting 11s pop out today. Going into goalkeeper. Now, I don't tend to tout goalkeeper. I don't really like it from a standpoint that it's a very difficult science, if you even call it a science at that. But you're looking at guys like Alisson from Liverpool today. I think they have the highest clean sheet odds. I think that they're sitting somewhere around 50% or higher whenever you're looking at that. Now, on DraftKings particularly, FanDuel, you really want a goalkeeper that could possibly get a win. So you're looking at, actually betting odds on there, which we have listed on our article on this site. But if you're looking at it from a standpoint of every time a goalkeeper on DraftKings saves a shot, it's 2 points. Every time they allow a goal, it's -2 points. So you see where I'm going with that. If you're getting volume there and the volume outweighs the goals allowed, there's a lot to be said by paying down at goalkeeper and getting some value plays on there. Just looking at it from a standpoint of like, who will I play? I don't know yet. I can't really tell you. I think there's a lot of pay down options that I really like. I do think that Manchester City, like I said, if they don't absolutely press, I don't think Jordan Pickford is that good of a goalie, but he's extremely cheap today. You can look at a team like a Brighton team that may be facing an Arsenal side. Arsenal want to win too, but there's going to be a lot of shots on goal, and that's kind of what you're looking at. So if you're looking at teams that are very good at allowing shots on goal, Newcastle United against Fulham here is probably going to be a popular option, whether it's Dubravka. I think Darlow's out, but I think Dubravka is going to be a popular option there. You can look at a Sheffield or Burnley. That game in itself is kind of blah. It's just a very boring game, but I do think that from that standpoint of saying, a Burnley matchup period is going to be a lot of defense, maybe some shots on goal, not a ton of goals. Even against the good teams, they don't really allow a ton. So, like I said, I mean, you can kind of pick and choose based off of what your builds allow. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about core players. You've heard what my core is essentially from my value and then my pay ups, but I want to talk a bit more about Liverpool. Mohamed Salah in particular, highest player in regards to salary on DraftKings. I believe he comes in at nearly 10K. I'm sorry, Kevin De Bruyne is actually $100 more expensive. So Mo Salah is 9,500. We'll get a little bit of a value play with him, I guess. But all jokes aside, Mo Salah is the top attacking option for Liverpool. I explained that they need to win today, so expect him to be heavily involved. He takes all the penalty kicks for them. So if there is an opportunity, he's going to be, the guy that they're going to put in, to score goals there. They don't have a Champions League final to worry about. So this is it for them. They have to push and press forward. So I expect Salah to be playing 90 minutes. You can definitely pay for Sadio Mane, who's a little bit cheaper. You don't get a ton of a discount, but at 9,200, he's somebody to look at. I kind of think I'm going to pay that $300 for Salah just because of ownership and just because of penalty kick equity. But you can look at Roberto Firmino also. I mean, he is not much cheaper, but 7,500. You're getting a 2K discount. You're kind of in that Mason Mount range, but Firmino plays a false nine role or in the Liverpool attack. He's not the traditional striker. He is more likely to play in Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah in the attack. And we could see Diego Jota, formerly of Wolverhampton, come into play today. He's been excellent for them as well. But, my focus is Trent Alexander-Arnold, maybe Andrew Robertson, and then, of course, those top three players. You can look at a Thiago Alcantara play. He's an excellent midfielder. He's just somebody that I really look at from a DFS standpoint here. But I do want to mention that Liverpool, you just have to focus. Please focus in on the fact that they are going to be a popular team today. If ownership is something that you really focus on, especially in cash games, which you probably should, I think you need to pay attention to them. GPP builds, I'll have multiple lineups. I think you could definitely stack Liverpool, and you could possibly even leave out a Salah or a Mane for salary relief. That will be an interesting build. But if I'm looking at this game in itself, I really see Liverpool as like a 2-0, 3-0 type of game. I don't think they want to concede here. I think that's why Alisson will be very popular as a goalkeeper for those that pay up. All right. Last, I want to round it out. We talked about our affiliate Prize Picks. We talked about different plays that we had on here. We do have a Prize Picks video that's available on our YouTube channel, so I want to make sure that you guys are checking that out. You can sign up with the code YFC for your deposit match, which I also mentioned up as well. You're going to be seeing scrolling below all of the plays that are kind of highlighted, but be sure to check this video out and rewatch it. We got plenty of time, a couple of hours up until lock. So, talking about Prize Picks, I'm going to run through real quickly what my plays are. The Prize Picks board looks amazing today. I think that they were bringing on a new soccer lines maker, but I think we had some soft lines to be able to attack. I want to talk about a few of those. My two favorite plays today are going to be Andrew Robertson, which we also talked about Liverpool, over at 5.5. One of the benefits on Prize Picks that I really like is that they started integrating passes completed accurately, and then, of course, being like from a negative standpoint if their passes are inaccurate, right? So you're getting 0.1 for every pass completed. I expect Liverpool to literally just sit in their attacking third today. Robertson to touch the ball a ton at 5.5. That's not even considering he has a ton of assist equity. The guy can score goals too, but I mean, he takes a shot on goal. That's 2 points right there. But I really feel like just from a passing completed standpoint, I think that this is just way too low. He's one that I would definitely hammer in today. He's not a goal scorer. He's not necessarily going to be somebody who's always going to be in the attack, but just the game script allows for him, if he plays like he should, a full 90 minutes, no injuries, this should be a lock pick for me at over 5.5. I also have Georginio. He is slated as a starting 11 player for Chelsea today. He's a little bit higher at 6.8, and I'll tell you why. Chelsea are very dominant in the possession as well. They should dominate against Aston Villa today in regards to keeping the ball. Georginio, as a midfielder play, he's going to be touching the ball a lot. He's going to be in the attack some. But more importantly, guess what? He's the PK taker on that team. Price Picks gives you 3 points for a penalty kick goal. I think that's kind of baked into his price here at his over prop. But looking at some of his, I guess, plays, just the guy is always going to be around the ball. One thing I do want to mention, in regards to these other picks, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about a value play that I missed on there. So I apologize for that, Mickey. But Ollie Watkins for Aston Villa, I have him under 4.2 today. The underplays are tough. They're risky. But with Aston Villa playing against Chelsea here, I don't see Ollie Watkins getting a ton of room against this defense, who's been just tremendously better. Obviously, this guy's going to need a goal or assist probably to go over. 2 shots are not going to make that happen. That's only going to be 4 points, but I anticipate him having a struggle today. Danny Ings from Southampton under 6.0 for Prize Picks as well. Southampton are a underdog today away. Danny Ings has not played a full 90 minutes consistently this year. 6.0 is a pretty high number. It's tough going against goal scorers and strikers because they can easily burn you with just one goal, and that happens. But I lean the under today. Dominic Calvert-Lewin also under 4.3 rounds that out. Against Manchester City, I think Everton's going to struggle some. But before we leave, I do want to go my favorite value of the day, so you can feel proud that you stuck into the end of the video. We'll have this in the article as well. Juan Mata, I want to talk about Manchester United real quick. He's sitting right over min price, I believe 3.1K on DraftKings as a midfield position. We talked about Mason Mount. We talked about Kevin De Bruyne in midfield. Mohamed Salah, Rapinoe also midfield eligible. You may not need this value today, but at 3.1K, Manchester United are basically playing a team that they know that they don't have anything to play for. They're sitting at 71 points, second in the EPL table. Nobody can catch them. They can't catch anybody. So they're going to be playing a heavily rotated team today. So Juan Mata is someone who's going to probably be on set pieces. As a player, I think he's declined in skill. He's older, but man, if this guy turns in 9, 10, DraftKings points, or he scores a goal or assist today, expect him to be heavily owned. So make sure you jump on that. Alex Tellez will also be on set pieces for them around 5K, starting for Luke Shaw at Manchester United. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Thank you so much. Be sure to check out our Prize Picks room and our premium room for any questions. Once again, this is your Fielder's Choice, our Premier League stream for our EPL Soccer Saturday. Good luck, guys. I hope to hear from you soon. You'll be seeing another video from me coming out talking about the Euros. We got $100,000 to first place that we want to talk about in that contest as well. So when that swings in here, as summer rolls around, we'll have European soccer. We're going to have MLS soccer. So as always, this is YFC Sports. My name is V12. Have a great morning, guys, and good luck, and let's win that money today.